Hello, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I want to talk about the $70 PlayStation first party experience. Mainly, the cost of that and why I have decided to accept it, and why I think and why I've decided to be okay with it going forward. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get started with the show. So, pretty recently, I have been, pretty against the whole, the upgraded pricing for PlayStation first party studios. And it's not because I can't afford to pay the extra $10 or whatever, or because or because I'm just trying to drive a wedge, between PlayStation and myself. I've been a PlayStation guy for well over 25 years. I have bought every PlayStation console, every PlayStation peripheral, every PlayStation first-party game. Well, almost every first-party PlayStation game that has launched from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 5. So, a lot of this stems from a lot of my newfound thinking. This is just recent. This is just the last couple of days, guys. I mean, even with stuff like the $30 price increase for Ghost of Tsushima, the director's cut, the $70 price tag on Ratchet and Clank, as well as Returnal. A lot of this has my thinking towards this has shifted drastically just over the last couple of days, and it all stems from Assassin's Creed Infinity. Okay, so I am a major Assassin's Creed fan. Like, I've played every single one of the games. I love them. These are probably games that I put more hours into than any other first party or first player or single player experiences that I have, for the most part. I mean, there are, like Witcher 3 has probably got more hours than any of my Assassin's Creed games. But when it comes to Assassin's Creed, it is up there with my all-time, my all-time favorite franchises. So, with Assassin's Creed and other games going either live service, free to play, or getting really heavily monetized through microtransactions and stuff, I believe that if Sony sticks to doing what Sony does best and making these single player interactive, story movie games that I love. I love playing these. I love being able to just disconnect from everything, throw on one of these games, sit back and play it without having to worry about, buying microtransactions or, just any of the other clutter that comes with these games. Like, I just love to sit back and play these games and take in the story and explore and do whatever it is that, each of these games has to offer. Like, I do appreciate these experiences more than you'll ever know. And now with the continued push towards, heavily monetized, experiences, I need these experiences to continue to be produced. And so that has drastically changed my thinking on the price of these games, because Sony games, once they come out, they basically have their run and then they're done, and most of the time these games have been pretty good. I mean, when it comes to, there are some outliers, when it comes to, The Last of Us 2, I didn't hate the game, but I didn't love it. I didn't really care for all the social justice warrior stuff, and the just all of the stuff that's in the game. I didn't mind it, but I don't feel like it was like super cringe or anything, like it was like being shoved down my throat, like, by any means. But the fact that they have to put all this stuff into it now, and it has to be something that, like, the journos are like really okay with and stuff like that. So it's not exactly a kind of game that I feel is made for me, you know, because I don't have anything in common with any of that. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't really ever think about anything that was in that game aside from, you know, like the gameplay, the story, the combat, stuff like that. That stuff I care about, and I thought it was great. Like, I thought the animations and the visuals and everything were like top tier. I didn't think the story was completely horrible or the characters were horrible by any means. Like, I thought The Last of Us 2 was a pretty good game. But I don't feel like that game is made for somebody like me. At the same time, like, I did consume it and I did enjoy it and I did have a good time with it. But at the same time, I don't feel like that game is, like, I have nothing in common with any of that. So it doesn't really affect me the way that it should affect you when you're playing a fantasy type story. So in that sense, I don't think the game was made for me because it has nothing to do with my life. Like, I'm a grown married man with children. Like, I don't have anything. I mean, the only person that I had anything in common with was probably Joel, you know, like being a man and like caring about, you know, your kids or whatever. Like, that's the only thing that resonated with me to a point where, yeah, but I mean, like, if you played the game, you know how that goes down. And if you haven't played the game, I'm sorry, I'm not going to spoil it for you. You can play it for yourself and see what it is. I did enjoy it, but I didn't believe that game was written or made for me. So, but it was a good experience nonetheless. So I'm done with my little rant about The Last of Us 2. God of War, like, I freaking love that game. Okay, I loved it. I loved how God of War, that series, grew up with me. You know, when I first started playing it, I was younger and I was, you know, full of, like, you know, anger and rage and stuff like that. But as you get older and you start to grow, you start to think, and I'm glad. Like, I love that story. I needed that in my life. I still call my son Boy to this day. Like, it's pretty funny. Boy, I need a water. So it's yeah, like, I've had some pretty memorable experiences with Sony first party games. Like, I've been a PlayStation guy for so long that I've played so many of them that it comes to a point where, like, I usually, you know, give them more credit than they probably deserve. I'm probably more biased when it comes to, you know, giving them, you know, like, a scoring and stuff, you know, and to me, like, visuals matter a lot, you know, when it comes to that, and it's easier to get caught up, you know, in, like, how good a game looks as opposed to, you know, everything else that's going on at the moment. But when it comes to Sony first party games, like, I feel like more than the majority of them are made for me, and I appreciate that. And I don't want to lose my single player experiences. Like, I don't. I want to be able to continue to play those. And yeah, like, if Sony's not going out of their way to monetize these games any other way than just raising the price $10, like, I cannot fault them for that. I honestly can't. They do make beautiful games, and these games usually are pretty good. I mean, the Uncharted series is probably one. Like, I love Uncharted. I love SOCOM. There's so many that I want them to bring back and that I want them to continue to move forward with. And in order to do that, if they need to charge me and the rest of the community $10 more, like, I'm kind of on board with that now. Like, I am, and I understand that any of the games on PlayStation 4 that get upgraded, I'm going to have to pay a price for that. And, you know, at this point, like, I'm perfectly okay with that for the most part. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima does kind of sting a little bit just because I bought the game last year. I think that maybe Sony could work around this and maybe find something that feels a little more, it feels a little more fair to, you know, early adopters and people that first buy these games. But yeah, like, in the long run, $10 for a Sony first party experience is really not that bad. But now we do have to address the current roster of games that have already come out and them not meeting a $70 expectation, in my opinion. When I think of a $70 Sony first party studio, I think amazing visuals, amazing story, and, you know, 30 hours of gameplay minimum. I have not received that for any of these games that I've purchased that I've gotten yet. The only one that I know for a fact I'm going to get 30 hours on is going to be Demon Souls. Like, I know that I will more than cross the 30 hours of gameplay on that one. But everything else, it just has not met that threshold for me. Returnal, the visuals didn't meet the Sony $70 first party, visual experience. These games are early generation. I'm more than confident that the PlayStation first party games are going to grow and become better. So when it comes down to it, like I mean, I'm gonna have to just write off the last two experiences. I mean, Ratchet and Clank is freaking mind-blowingly beautiful. Like it is. I have no desire to play through that again. Like I just don't. And I wish I wouldn't have rushed through that story, but I did. And I'm stuck with my just over 10 hours of gameplay on that, and that's kind of a bummer. I mean, I played through it on the standard difficulty. I probably should have cranked the difficulty up on that, because it didn't feel like super easy, but it didn't really challenge me enough to make it stretch that time out. I mean, I was getting through it it was pretty easy to learn the move set of the the same boss, 15 times or whatever. Like, it was pretty easy to learn that move set and to be able to get around that pretty easily as the story progressed. So yeah, that's just what I'm talking. I mean, I want my Sony experiences to be, about 30 hours or 30 hours. I'm perfectly okay with that. I want to be able to sit down in a couple of sittings and be able to get through that, and I want the story to be able to hold me that long to where I can get through them. But yeah, as it goes forward, guys, I'm to the point where I've accepted, and I'm okay with the $70 price from Sony first party games. It's going to differ for third-party games for sure, because I mean, last generation we got so many busted, broken, buggy games that I don't like the fact that now I got to pay $10 more for these experiences. I wish that Sony would definitely put out something that made it either, if the game came out buggy and broken, we could get a refund right off the bat, or make sure that these games don't come out in that kind of shape. That's probably my biggest gripe going forward with the upgraded price, is the quality of the experience that will be coming after that. But as it sits right now, I am okay with Sony charging me an extra $10 for single player first party experiences. I like these games, guys. I really do appreciate them still making them where other companies are moving away from it because it's just not profitable. I am grateful that Sony has continued to stick to its guns and double down on making these experiences for me, and I will appreciate that, and I will speak with my wallet when these games launch. I will buy them day one. I will pay for my PlayStation 5 upgrades. Yeah, I mean, we could go back and forth all day long if that's fair, or if that's justified, or if, having, new features for the controller put into that is fair. We can go back and forth on that all day. I mean, we really can. Sometimes I don't feel like they should be charging for it, but at the same time, at least they're not packing these games with so many microtransactions that it's ridiculous. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to end up paying for my upgrades because I want the best version I can get for the console power that I have. So I am going to pay for these experiences. And I pray that they meet my expectations and they give me that same enjoyment that I've come to know and expect from PlayStation over the years, because PlayStation has not been a bad place to play. It has always given me that, PlayStation's always fulfilled that gaming desire for me. I've never not had a point in time except for the PlayStation 4 Pro. The PlayStation 4 Pro was the first time I ever felt let down by PlayStation, and that was simply because the PlayStation 4 Pro could not run games on my 4K TV third-party games did not meet that threshold, whereas the Xbox One X did. And you know, Microsoft is definitely doing a lot right this generation to ensure that experience is going to be better going forward. So I'm excited about both of them now. I'm definitely more excited about the Xbox, you know, when it comes to third party and power and everything else. Like I'm excited, dude. I'm on board with Microsoft. I really like what they're doing. But deep down inside, like, I love my PlayStation, man. I love PlayStation. I love what they do. I love the fact that they are going to continue to produce these experiences for me. And, man, I'm all on board with that. You know, I mean, my community expects me to be honest, and this is how I'm feeling right now at this time, man. Like, this is how I feel. I feel like I'm okay with paying $70 for Sony first-party games. Like, I'm okay with that. As long as they continue to give me, you know, what they have and double down, like I said, like I'm more than happy with that. So, you know, in closing, yeah, guys, I don't see the $70 as being a bad thing anymore. Like I've come around to it, and I understand, you know, why things are going the way they're going, and I'm okay with that. So, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.